Hi, I'm Tom Stephenson and welcome to Project Management Tips and Principles. Today we're going to be looking at one of the lean construction tools that's pretty renowned, the 5 S's. What do the 5 S's entail when we're talking about construction projects? Well, the 5 S's consist of 5 words that start with the letter S. Now, in lean construction, you might hear some people they'll frame it into 3 S's. Some may add a 6th S for safety, but the 5 S's principally developed out of the Toyota production system starts with sort, set, shine, standardize, and sustain. And really it's about organizing your site in such a way that it makes it easy, effortless to do things. If you're tripping over things or you have a big mess like in this photograph here, that's a problem. It's not easy for people to work. It kind of is an indicator of the type of work being done often. It is not safe. There's a lot of downside, and even it's kind of like clutter, right? And the 5 S's actually, if you've ever read Maria Kondo's work, it really is somewhat the aspect of decluttering and organizing, but building a system too that you don't get back to where you were. And so this can actually be useful for anybody on anything, whether you're decluttering your garage, or whether you're decluttering your house, or whether you're decluttering a site. But we're going to focus today mostly on decluttering a site and using the 5 S's to make it much more efficient, and a lot of the reasons behind it and some of the things that you need to try to do and build into your system so that it makes it easy. So the goal is to have clients for life. You want your clients to see the difference between dealing with you and your company and other people's companies. So I had this recently, this contractor came by and we were looking to get a price on something, and they opened up their truck because they were, number one, they're very proud of their truck, and number two, they needed something from it. So, but they did want to show us their truck, and this is how this contractor organizes their truck. Like everything has something, a place for everything, and they're very proud of it, and they were kind of exuding that the way my truck is the way I treat your house, or the way I treat my projects. And there's a lot of truth in that. I can't imagine a contractor that would have a truck like this with a site like this. Like, the two are incompatible in a lot of ways. Now I could see somebody with a site like this having a truck like this. I could see that. So you can kind of see, and of course these are dichotomies, right? There's places in the middle, and perhaps I'm being too harmful on that other contractor. Maybe they've just thrown the stuff out the doors and we're in the process of cleaning it. I don't think that was the case in that case, having lived near there and walked by that enough times. But definitely this is setting the tone for how you're going to run your projects. And makes it a lot less stressful because you know where everything is. You can find everything. And I think the 5 S's also, it's a mindset and it's a way of thinking. If you have kind of a closed mind to things in construction, you get stuck in this rut that this is the way we've always done it, and what are you going to do? It's construction, it's messy. But if you have a different mindset, as Carol Dweck in her excellent research on mindset, if you have like a growth mindset, you're open to the possibilities. You're not fixed on the way things are. You're not thinking, well, we're just messy the way we operate in our projects. Our projects work out okay, but we're just messy. Then yeah, it's going to be very difficult to change that mindset. But if you have a growth mindset that you're open to the possibilities, then the world's your oyster. You can find out how to resolve issues, to make things better, to have a clean, organized site, to have much less waste in your steps. Remember the 8 areas of waste in lean construction. They spell the word downtime. DOWNTIME. And if you actually subscribe to my channel and checked on the playlist, you'll see some of my previous videos where I've gone through the 8 areas of waste and explained what they are. But just quickly, downtime, D is for defects, O is for overproduction, W is for wait time, workers waiting for work, work waiting for workers. N is for non-utilized talent, not using and collaborating with the experienced people on your projects. T is for transportation, I is for inventory, M is for motion. It's a big one on this topic. Imagine looking for stuff and doing extra steps and not really organized that way. Big waste of motion. And extra processing, doing more steps than you are required to do. So definitely the 5 S's and a growth mindset come to play together when we're thinking about having that continuous improvement mindset, which is a key part of Lean. So again, back to the 5 S's. So again, I do a lot of walking in between when I'm doing consulting and when I'm teaching at my college and working with companies. But I came across this project was on one of the streets I was walking to around, and they had this posted board on the site. You're supposed to post in Canada all the building permits that you have, you know, right front and center on the property. So they actually had them put onto this board, nice and neat. Look at how nice, straight everything is. They've got the new home permit, they got the plumbing permit, the drain permit, the HVAC permit, the demolition permit. They've got what it requires to go on their sites. They've got emergency contacts listed. They've got directions for a hospital should somebody get hurt. They've got the notice of project here. So they've got all of their key information there, not hiding anything, nice, clearly organized. And you know what? Behind the sign, the site was just as well organized. So the sign wasn't like an exception. Somebody that does that is taking the time. Whereas I've seen other ones where it's kind of like on a plastic bag and it's kind of whistling in the wind and you can't read it and it's not very well organized and there's mud and everything caked on the sidewalk and people can't walk by. Big difference. And I will say, observing this construction project, not that I'm advertising for this company or anything, they seem to have a very well organized way of doing things, and the project went, finished, and they were on to the next one in what seemed to be a very quick time. And I know time frames for houses, that I'm very astute on. So when it comes to scheduling, and I thought they kept very, very well organized on that project. Whereas other ones you see languishing, you see a lot of rework going on, you see a lot of work waiting for workers, workers waiting for work. I didn't get that. So again, it's another indicator that if this is happening, you've got more of a likelihood that other things are happening. Not a for sure, but definitely that's one of the pieces of the puzzle. So we have these 5 S's. So let's talk a little bit about it. So sorting is the aspect of basically what do you need and what don't you need. So this could be in a construction trailer, this could be in your office, this could be in a work site where you're storing materials, anywhere that you have to get access to things and you've got a bunch of stuff. And generally we end up with stuff we don't need. And then it starts to accumulate and it's almost like hoarding in a way. So the concept is when in doubt, move it out. Go through everything, and if you've got more things, you can do this either way. If you got more things that you're keeping than you're taking out, then probably you put the red tags on the stuff you're taking out, or vice versa. Where to look? Behind things, under things, between things. Look for rusted items. If it's something rusted, probably you haven't used it in a long period of time, so you likely can throw it out. Broken items, outdated items, posters. We all have these posters that maybe we never look at, never use. They're all covered in dust and that sort of thing. Notices that are long obsolete, that were put up, months or years ago, if it maybe is an office. Paper piles, and identify them as what you need to keep and the rest not likely to be used. And then figure out a way, how do I get rid of it? If it's something that you can sell, figure out whatever way you can sell it, auction it, give it away. Find the least costly way to throw away things. You know, a lot of times if it's made out of metal, if you put it out in your front, wherever your property is, it disappears because somebody picks it up for scrap. So there's a lot of ways of parting with it, and just hanging on to it, it just kind of clutters, and it gives a little bit of an underlying sort of friction to your thinking. So you're trying to set yourself free. The 5 S's, so the next one is set, simplify, create a place for everything. Just like that truck I started out with, that contractor had everything well organized. And when I was coming up to doing this, I have a grandson and he's like over the top for fire engines. And I was thinking, you know, who really needs to set themselves up with the 5 S's? It is fire departments, and they are. Like, they have a place for everything. Can you imagine somebody's in a accident and they're running around, there's this big pile of stuff in their truck and they're looking for the jaws of life to open up the door and they don't know where it is? No, they know exactly where it is. So they have a place for everything and everything in its place. That necessity makes sure that they do it, and they do it well. And so the goal is to reduce the time to find something to near zero, right? So you want to be able to find things. You want to make it visual, that you can see things. You can't see things when they're all piled up on top of each other. Anyone will have little difficulty in finding it's as obvious as where it should be. So that's the other thing. You make it even that not just you that organized it, but if other people are having to access it, that they can access it too. So have frequently used items closest to the work. This is a big thing in construction. So you're doing a multi-floor condominium. Well, what's the stuff you're going to need frequently, and make sure it's on the floor that you're at? What's the stuff that you need infrequently, and then you maybe are going to have it in a C-can box down near the bottom near the trailers. But you don't want to have the stuff that you need frequently there and you're going up and down and up and down and up and down the material hoist. So you've got to organize yourself so that you can access it depending on use. Think about the sequence of tools and parts when setting up. You know, what are you going to need? When are you going to need it? And have a labeling system to indicate where everything goes, or a shadow board. Shadow boards where there's things painted around so that when something is missing, you know something's missing there. Where's that tool? And then you can remember to look for it and to put it back so that it doesn't end up, then you can't find it. It's like when you have a ratchet set. There's always these little cutouts like the previous the previous slide shows, right? So you know that, oh, there's a pair of pliers missing. Where are those pair of pliers or those side cutters, right? So that's helpful. Make it as easy to find. Color coding might make it easy. I'm colorblind, so that might not be the best one, but basically those types of things make it easy to find. Develop ways to daily replace usable items, right? So if you have like a line drawn, if it's fittings and things like that, if it drops the fittings, then you make sure that it's topped up. So you have a line that basically this is what we top it up to, say pipe fittings, elbows. You've got a drawer for that. You make sure there's a line, this is full, right? And then as it drops down, there's another line, this is when we need to restock it. So you never wait till you run out, and then you have to go fill it up and you have to go buy it. This way you're always stocked up and you're not without anything, because as soon as you run out, then you've got workers waiting for work. They don't have the parts, and then they're standing around. And at $100 plus an hour for a tradesperson, if you count holiday pay, pension, and all these other things, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. The other one is, the next one is shine, right? Shine. Keep the site clean. And if it's clean, you are going to feel better about the site. It's going to be much better. You're going to be much better organized. The people around in other projects, or people that may be living down the street from where you're working, the business next door, all of those will be happier too. So I'm talking about this construction site here. I noticed that when the masons were doing the work, they had basically their masonry cement, They have their sand. They cover the sand sometimes, but I'm not sure that they were. So that basically the rain, and it doesn't absorb soluble salts from the ground and get efflorescence and that kind of stuff. They've got these bags just strewn about. And over here, I don't know if you can see that, but there's like boats. It's a marina. There's a huge lake over here. The wind blows off the lake like crazy, just whips up in a moment's notice. And then you go 3 or 4 blocks away and these bags are floating around the neighborhood. Do you think the neighborhood is happy about that? No. They're probably going to complain to the counselor. A zoning official is going to come by. Maybe they're going to fine the contractor. All of these things for what? You're just dissatisfying people and you're making a mess. And somebody's going to trip over one of these bags going to get the sand. All of these things go on. Now, if you're a masonry contractor, you should build a system. Part of the system is that every time you set up on site, you have somewhere to put the bags. It's not something new. It's something that you do every time, right? Every single time, you're going to have to do that. So it's easy enough to have a box that you can put the bags into so that they can be disposed of. Now, if you don't, then you don't have a system, and then that's why this happens. But if you do, and you make sure that this is part of the way that you set up, and that everybody that works for you organizes themselves that way, then that just becomes the way you do business. And it becomes much easier. And that's what the 5 S's is about, is to make these things easier, not to make them harder. It's actually so much easier when you build a system on those points. And so you build a schedule to check to make sure that people are putting things into the bag. You have accountabilities, and you have somewhere to put them so that it basically makes it easy. You make sure that things are clean. And if things are clean, you can see flaws in things, right? So if things are clean, you can see flaws in them. If they're not, you can't see them, the problems that are there. They're hidden, and they're just waiting to either cause some major safety issue or some major breakdown. So you want to make sure also that part of the shine part is having regular maintenance checks and a regular maintenance schedule on your equipment. And that would include, I don't see the mortar mixer here, but I think it's just off the screen. You know, maintenance on the mortar mixer, making sure it's getting greased at the proper points in time, making sure that it's cleaned properly, which sometimes they're just caked with mortar that's dried out, and then they hit it with a hammer and then pieces of mortar fall inside. And sometimes when they're mixing it, little pieces fall into the mortar mix. The bricklayer is trying to lay the brick, and then it's rocking and they're wondering why, and then they got to lift the brick again. That's all waste, right? So you try to organize it that it is going to be smooth and flowing. The next S is standardize. Well, that's great. We do these things, but we want to make it a standard. We want to make this is the way that we do it. And we want to make it as easy as possible to train and educate on the why. We want to try to make sure that everybody understands the why. If they don't understand the why, they're probably going to move towards that fixed mindset, close the growth mindset, shut down, and then it's going to be a waste of time just trying to do this, right? So you really need to make it part of your processes and systems and make it as easy as possible to train and educate on the why. Make it really hard, make it difficult to do things in the wrong place. It's hard not to throw the bags in the box when you have the box right near where the bags open. It becomes easy to do that. If you make it that way, it's going to happen. If you don't, it won't be so easy, right? So it's all about that. If you have basically that drawer where you put it exactly where it is, makes it easy. If you have those shelves like that contractor had, and you have everything, a place for everything, makes it easy when you put away the stuff. And you get into, you know where you've got to put things, and it makes it so much more organized. It's like when you have your kitchen, you know, if you have a place that you always put stuff, it's easy to find it when you're cooking. It's easy to put things away when you have to put away. You just know where you have to put it, right? And sometimes if you're organizing that and you have a questionable one, then figure out where it's going to be and communicate it to the people that use the kitchen so that they can all put it in the same spot. Work with suppliers to ensure they know what to do as well and to know what your practices are. And this takes a lot of effort with your trades as well to make sure what is expected of them before you start, and then following up and having a point of contact of when you see something that being put in the wrong area or that's messing up your project that way. I put this one here because this is a very well organized site. You can see even ergonomically how the worker set themselves up so that it's right at waist height, makes it easy to work on these pilings that they're going to be putting along, these soldier pilings. Makes it a lot easier for them to work. And even the road here, they're constantly leveling it so there were very little divots in it, even though they're excavating this all out for a deep foundation. And it makes a big difference. The other thing they were doing was making sure that it was kept moist so that there wasn't dust blowing into the neighborhoods. That's, again, it's these little things that help. And you develop checklists that makes it much easier. Now, I've talked about in previous videos the checklist Manifesto book. You might want to look that up or check out one of the checklist Manifesto videos on how to set up a really good checklist. But it's really what you need in these cases. And so that's great. So we've set standards of how things are going to be done. Now we got to make sure that we're going to sustain it so we don't fall back. And you know what? You will fall back, but you've got to catch it and build it in so that you build it into a really strong habit, a really strong routine that everybody starts to embrace. And then that's the difference between being really successful at that and moderately to not really successful at it. So have clear rules regarding the first 4 S's. You can't manage what you can't measure. Measure it. Use the checklists on a daily basis for those things that require it. When the work area is shined, the work flows. It work flows. And again, setting those standards, like in step 4, I've read up on some of the stuff that Turner Construction's been doing with nothing hits the floor. Very good concept where you've got things on wheels so that basically things go into your boxes. Think about how you can organize things better. Be polite with others in the process. So this isn't about, remember number 1 tenet of lean, respect for people. This isn't about yelling and shaming people into doing this. This is about getting people to embrace it and buy into it, right? So, and involve them in it. And they probably have better ideas than you do about it. So create a culture that takes pride in its organization, like that contractor that I started out with their truck and how proud they were of their truck. Get to the source or root cause of any disorder or dirt in the 5 whys, right? So use the 5 whys. Again, that's a tool that we talk about in a different video where you get at the root cause by asking why is this mess here? Well, we had no place to put it. Why did you have no place to put it? And you go on and on and on until you get to the root cause. Might be 5 whys, might be 4 whys, might be 10 whys, depending on how complicated it is. Like the last planner system, again, for the short-term scheduling, collaboration, and the long-term scheduling and integrating it all, the 5 levels of schedule, harness your employees' knowledge to solve the problems. That's where the gold is. Improvement requires effort, and got to be enthusiastic about this stuff. If you're enthusiastic, it's contagious. It's contagious. And let's not be hunting for buried treasure in a pile of stuff. Build habits, rituals, routines that make it easier for you to do the 5 S's. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please subscribe to my channel. I have playlists on everything from site management, project management, scheduling, to MS project details, project management, tools, tips, and techniques, building mental models in construction. And leave a comment, and we'll see you next time. I'm Tom Stephenson, wishing you a wonderful day, and also don't forget to click the notifications so you see new videos as they come up. Again, have a wonderful day. See you next time. Bye for now.